the city of the century, the silence isn't peaceful. It's a shroud. In Gary, Indiana, secrets don't just stay buried, they are poured over with concrete. But in 2011, a secret was unearthed that made the shadows scream. Christian Eriks was 13, but to his father, Riley, he wasn't a son. To his stepmother, Kimberly, he wasn't a human being. He was a ghost long before he died, a child who stopped coming out to play, and the neighbors simply stopped asking why. "5900 West 36th Avenue, a normal address. But inside, Christian lived in a 2-foot-high iron dog cage for over a year. No bed, no light. Just the smell of the scraps they threw him and the sound of the locks. While you slept in a bed, Christian slept in a cage of iron and shadow. April 2009. The torment ended, but not because someone showed mercy. Christian's heart simply gave up. His father, Riley, looked at his dead son and didn't feel grief. He felt a chore. He wrapped the boy in plastic, put a Bible on his chest, an insult to God, and buried him in a shallow hole. Then he poured the concrete. He literally built a floor over his son's face. This is the part that should make your blood boil. For 2 years they lived on top of him. They had barbecues feet away from his body. They threw parties while he decayed under the shed. And the system? CPS visited that home over 10 times. They stood on that concrete. They looked Riley in the eye, took his word for it, and walked away. They left a boy in a cage, and they left a body in the dirt. May 2011. The silence broke. Christian's sister, haunted by the ghost in the backyard, finally spoke, and the world finally had to look at what had happened. The day the police finally arrived at the Colfax mobile home park was the end of a 2-year lie. It wasn't a routine welfare check, it was a recovery operation based on a tip that exposed a nightmare. Here is exactly how those hours unfolded in May 2011. The Lake County Sheriff's Department arrived after Christian's biological mother, Amy Estrada, called 911. Her daughter, Christian's sister, had finally broken her silence, revealing that Christian hadn't run away years ago like Riley Choate claimed. He was buried right there in the park. Police focused on a specific spot in the 5900 block of West 36th Avenue. They found a recently poured concrete slab underneath a backyard shed. Lake County Crime Lab technicians spent hours manually breaking through 2 feet of concrete and digging into the dirt. Beneath the lime and the dirt, they found Christian. He was wrapped in 2 plastic garbage bags and placed inside a plastic tote. A gruesome scene. Sheriff John Bansich later described the scene as gruesome. Even veteran officers were shaken. One investigator reportedly had to undergo counseling afterward because of what they saw when they finally uncovered the boy. In a detail that stunned investigators, Riley Choate admitted he had placed a Bible and a cross on Christian's chest before sealing him under the concrete. Riley told police he did it because he thought it made things okay in his mind. When police confronted Riley at the scene, his attitude was chillingly casual. According to the sheriff, he was bumming cigarettes and acting like it was no big deal, even as they were unearthing his son's remains. Initially, Riley was only charged with removal of a body from a death scene and failure to notify authorities. It took a few more days of investigation into the cage and the years of torture before the murder charges were officially filed. Christian was brought here, to the peace of Ridgelawn, but the world wasn't done failing him. For 2 years, he sat in an unmarked grave. A boy who lived as a number in a cage died as a number in a ledger. No stone, no flowers, just grass. It took a stranger, someone who never met him, but couldn't stop crying for him. A woman thousands of miles away raised the money to give Christian his dignity back. Look at this face. This is the boy the world tried to erase. Christian Eriks, 1995 to 2009. Locked away by his blood, failed by his protectors, but finally found by a gift of a stranger. He isn't in a cage anymore. The law eventually caught up to the man at the center of the storm. In 2012, Riley Choate stood in a Lake County courtroom and admitted to the unthinkable. He pleaded guilty to murder, battery, and the removal of a body from a death scene. For the years of torment he inflicted within the walls of that trailer. The judge handed down a sentence of 80 years in prison. He won't be seeing the light of day for a very long time. Then there was the woman who watched it all happen, the one who could have been a shield but instead became a participant in the silence. Rachel Wiggins, also known as Kimberly Cabina, pleaded guilty to assisting in a murder and neglect of a dependent resulting in death. Her role in the tragedy earned her a 30-year sentence. While her time is shorter than Riley's, the stain on her name in the annals of Indiana crime is permanent. But the failure didn't stop at the front door of the Colfax trailer park. The system meant to protect children like Christian was hollowed out by its own negligence. It came to light that DCS had been called to that home 13 times. 13 opportunities to see the cage, the bruises, and the fear, and 13 times they walked away. In the fallout, the state was forced to look in the mirror. Several caseworkers and supervisors were fired or resigned under the weight of their own inaction. And what of the neighbors, the people who lived just feet away in the park? Some claimed they heard things. Others said they saw a boy who looked like a ghost long before he actually became one. No other criminal charges were filed, but the community of Black Oak was left haunted by the realization that a horror movie was filming in real time, right in their own backyard. They say hindsight is 20/20ths, but for Christian, hindsight came a decade too late. We can't go back to that trailer in the Colfax Park. We can't open that cage. But we can't look at the world around us right now. If you see something that doesn't sit right, a child who looks a little too thin, a neighbor who's a little too quiet, or a story that just doesn't add up, don't be the 14th person to walk away. In Indiana, you can call 1-800-800-5556 to report child neglect or abuse. It's anonymous. You don't need proof, you just need a conscience. Don't let another name end up on a case closed file before it even had a chance to begin. Be the voice for the ones who are currently being silenced. If you have any cases you know of in Northwest Indiana, drop them in the comments. This is Whiplash 714. If you see a child who has become a ghost, don't look away, because some secrets are waiting for you to find them. Sleep well, Christian.